Toughest decisions the Texans still have in front of them, and they might not have very many guys on the field in Pittsburgh. A lot of absences. DeMeco Ryans puts a bow on the trip to Cleveland as it's wheels up to Pittsburgh, and we got a game very, very shortly. Let's go inside the locker room.
You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize.
All right, it is the locker room, number one source for Texans digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can hear me right here throughout the week. Got some special stuff dropping tomorrow at 1 o'clock. We'll have a really, really good episode for you featuring someone who was on the scene with Andre Johnson, someone who made a Pro Bowl for the Texans, and someone who still has a pretty good grasp of what's going on. Be sure to subscribe, like, right along. We got you covered here in the locker room. Let's hear from DeMeco Ryans. The Texans, they're done with Ohio. Now it is on to Pittsburgh. And we got some news out of Pittsburgh today as well, involving what their strategy may or may not be when it comes to who they are and are not going to play. Russell Wilson will not play, the starting quarterback. So we're going to see Justin Fields, who's one of C.J. Stroud's really close friends, brothers, as he says. Seems like C.J. Stroud has a ton of brothers. But Justin Fields, someone he looks up to, fellow Buckeye, we'll probably see him. We will not see Russell Wilson. We'll talk about all of the guys who were not on the field today as the Texans had a very light, non-padded practice. But first, let's hear DeMeco Ryans put a bow on the time in Ohio. And he also says something that philosophically aligns with something Bobby Slowick said earlier today, which that video was dropped earlier this morning. If you want to go through and listen to some of the stuff that Bobby Slowick had to say. Here's DeMeco, though.
Being here in Cleveland, I think we've had 4 really good days of work. Just telling some guys, I felt like we finally had real camp practice, just how efficient we were offensively, defensively being where we're supposed to be. It felt like real camp practices. So I was happy to get the work in. I think we accomplished a lot by being here.
Change it at all? Any of your thinking of who you might start in the preseason game?
He's basically asking, do you want to put C.J. Stroud behind an offensive line that's not full strength? I think you put him out there anyways and see what those guys can do. But that's basically what he's asking. You can tell DeMeco's kind of like, what are you saying?
No, doesn't change it at all. No, we keep going with our offensive line. We're always, moving guys around, having guys play different positions. So it doesn't. Whoever's available and ready to go, they'll be out there for preseason.
Coach, do you think that being out here at this high school gives guys some of that old school feel about when they were going to, you got a lot of young guys
right?
You have old school, high school feels.
Yeah, anytime you step on a high school campus again, I think the nostalgia kicks in and we all go back to, man, I remember my high school feel, whether it's how the stadium looks. You just start to think immediately how it was on those Friday nights playing in high school. It takes us all back to, and what I truly believe in, when you were playing for the pure joy of the game, the fun of the game. And I hope our guys were able to recollect on that and bring up some old memories for them being out here at the high school today. And we're very, appreciative of University School for having us here. They've done a great job of hosting us.
What Jake Hanson's been able to do, you said quite the journey.
Damn, Stoots, we go on Jake Hansen. I love Hansen, though. Listen to what he says about him. Listen to what he says about Hansen.
Yeah, Jake continues to get better. Every time he steps out on the field, he continues to surprise me every day. He just gets better and better and better. And that's what coaching, that's what the NFL is all about. You see a young player who is undrafted and a guy you see, man, can you mold him into contributing and playing meaningful snaps? I think every day where Jake, he's one of our hardest workers, right? Whether it's in special teams, he's competing in drills at the linebacker spot. Jake, he's done a great job. We put a lot on him, ask him to play all 3 linebacker spots. And Jake is the one guy who can handle it and not
one guy
when we ask him to step in there.
One guy.
a guy of his caliber being undrafted and being able to serve multiple roles for us just shows everybody, like, it's just not about where you're selected in the league, just about what you do with the opportunity that you've gotten. And Jake has really taken advantage of his opportunity.
Let's go ahead and mark it. We already knew it, but we knew that I actually think Jake Hansen's a dog.
I'm a dog, I'm a dog, I'm a dog, I'm a dog.
We already knew he was on the team, but I mean, that's right there. Check. Hansen. See you on the field.
Does he have kind of like, you almost have like a kind of the gold standard for some of the undrafted free agent success with Z's?
Damn, Stoots.
You talk to some of these guys,
See the gold standard.
Look where he came from, look where he is now. You have that throughout the roster.
Yeah, when you look at undrafted guys, I think that's where you're very proud of those guys, because a lot of people would say they probably don't make it, but our league is comprised of a lot of guys who are undrafted. It's not comprised of all the first round picks, right? That's where the depth of your team, the guys who are going to grind and really find out who they are, right? It's undrafted guys. That's the guys you want. And I point to Aziz as a guy who's undrafted, right? And now he's had some success being a starter last year and now being here with us. Jake has done a great job as an undrafted guy as well. So I'm excited I get excited about developing young guys who a lot of people say can't do something or they shouldn't be able to. Like, that's what fires me up to work with those guys even more.
For DeMeco Collins and CJ, good timing. What do you say for those guys, the connection that they just showed?
Today with our practice, this is a very crisp practice today. Guys, we put a lot of work in the past 2 days, so we wanted to deload them a little bit, and guys had a nice crisp practice today.
Didn't really have much to say there. How do you monitor reps?
Yeah, we've been rolling in camp for a while now. It seems like a long time, and I look ahead like, wow, we still have a good amount of time to go, probably a month left before, the true regular season kicks off. So when we look at I'm monitoring reps every day. I'm monitoring reps, seeing where we are, keeping a track of it, just making sure we're smart with how we're loading our guys with the reps and making sure we're peaking at the right time. Because when you start camp as early as we have with the Hall of Fame game, I don't want guys to come in and we're peaking right at preseason week 2. That's not the time to be at your peak. So we're always monitoring it, and our sports performance staff, they've done a great job of being on it as well. So just working with them, and we're all in sync with making sure at the end of the day, making sure we take care of our guys the right way. Just want to be as healthy as possible, right, going into the season.
Any update on Titus Howard?
Titus is good.
Titus is good.
Go ahead.
With the 2 rookies at running back, feels like they maybe lost a little opportunity with the game getting canceled early. Have you kind of had to maybe catch up on some of the stuff that maybe had planned for Jawar and British Brooks because the game, they lost some other opportunity?
Yeah, with the rookies, the 2 rookie running backs, I know it sucks that the game was canceled, but it was an extra game, so I don't think they've lost out on their opportunities to showcase what they had. I've actually seen them this week actually get better in practice. Right, from my perspective, I think they've done a much better job. They needed that game exposure to see what it really takes. They got that exposure, and now they were able to get better and build on what they did in the game. They built on that in practice. So the game they didn't lose anything from the game being canceled. For sure. Out of the couple reps they did get, like, they made the most out of it. You see Brooks made a nice play, special teams. Jawar had a run. They think we could have done better job of finishing and running the ball. So now I see how he's running the ball in practice. Like, man, he's done a great job this week, probably his best week of camp so far. So that game definitely served its purpose for showing the young guys, hey, what does it truly take to, build and get better in the league? They've got that answer. They've got that wake-up call, so to speak, and they've shown it this week in practice.
CJ to go to his national direction, just to kind of get the stress of what if this doesn't work out, here's your last option. How intensive is that process in particular?
with CJ, and in what ways do you maybe on defense try to?
I like this answer. This is philosophical alignment with
as coaches, as you prepare for practice, you want to try to put your players through as many stressful situations as possible. So when it comes to scripting plays, you don't always script for success and make it easy on players, because when they get in the game and the picture changes or it's difficult, like how do they respond? Like we want to see our guys respond and go through the difficult as hard as we can make it here in practice. So whether it's offense, right, scripting for getting to your third read in the progression, whether it's a run play that you know you're outnumbered on, still running that play. And a lot of things we do is also to teach, right? And you have to get it on film to teach guys of why you do certain things and why you don't do certain things. Also defensively, like we may put guys in situations where it's not a favorable position. It's not a favorable, all right, down and distance, not a favorable situation. How do you respond? All right, and that's what, as coaches, it's our job to continue to put our guys in as stressful and as many game-like situations as possible.
Bobby right here.
All right, thank you guys. All right.
And I thought that was good because that's a unified coaching philosophy. And you've seen CJ struggle at times. You heard Slowick say, hey, we try to make it difficult for him. We try to make it difficult for CJ, and then you hear DeMeco say the same thing. So you see these two guys, they sound like authentically aligned. It's not Bill O'Brien going up there and saying we're aligned, and he's the one that's kind of the voice, and then everyone else is just kind of timid. When you see guys from the Shanahan pipeline, a lot of times they sound different, and there's some different stuff that they do, but I think the overlying like significant philosophies, it seems like a lot of times there's some alignment there, and you can kind of see that with Slowick and with DeMeco. Here is the list of guys that were out today, and it was an unpadded practice. Here was the guys that were out and the guys that did not participate. So we have Laramie Tunsil out. He hasn't practiced all training camp. Joe Mixon, he's been out for a while. He's trending upward. He wants to go. Christian Harris, I have no idea. Diggs, you got to think this is rest. Brevin Jordan's been out. I think this is his third or fourth straight practice missed. So maybe keep an eye on that. Jeff Okudah, don't know. He's been out for a little bit. Lassiter hasn't practiced this week. Didn't hear anything significant. Will Anderson, he's been out. Don't think that's anything significant. Kendron Green, don't know. Titus Howard left the field yesterday. There was Cartgate. Who knows with him? You never know. Quintariano, he got hurt in the preseason game, so we haven't seen him. Noah Brown, I'm assuming rest. Autry, he's really been out since he got suspended. And then Tim Settle, he's been out for a little bit as well. He might actually be on the outside looking in at this point, but who knows? He had a couple of good early practices. So we'll see how it goes for sure with the guys. But those were the guys out. 7 starters out. Don't think it's anything big, but they're kind of resting up. Maybe they're basically just saying, hey, y'all don't, we're going to Pittsburgh. You're not going to play. You guys rest. Who knows? But that is where they're at. So it's really just an unpadded, low attendance practice. You had some one-on-one work. Cody Stutes put the videos up. It honestly, I think the Kennedy assassination had better video quality than what Cody put up with his phone. I know he always likes to give me a hard time. I don't know what was going on there. And then just really nothing much else with the practice. I want to get into a couple of decisions that DeMeco Ryans is going to have to get. And we're gonna do lightweight as well. This one's probably going to be a little bit shorter than usual, but we'll break this down. I'll get to some of the comments in the comment section, and we'll get to some of the stuff that I think deserves some attention when it comes to decisions that DeMeco, Bobby Slowick are going to need to make. It is the locker room. Be sure to subscribe, like, right along. We're right there at 10.4. I think we're like less than 20 away from 10.4. So we get to 10.4. That'd be great. And I got some special stuff coming up, as well as the post-game show on Friday. So decision number 1 is John Metchie. Feel good versus play good. We know that there's a feel good story. We know that they feel good about him in the locker room, but in game situations, we haven't seen consistency from John Metchie. So is the feel good going to override the play good, or is John Metchie actually going to have to play good in order to make this team? There's a lot of decisions to be made at wide receiver. We've seen Robert Woods perhaps want to have one of his best weeks of practice. Does that push Metchie out? It's a feel-good story, but at some point you got to play good. I think. Don't know, but I think. And I think we're going to have to see that. So that's decision number one. How do you handle John Metchie? How long are we going to be talking about potential? I keep hearing, well, he was a second-round pick. He's a second-round pick. So what? We're in year 3. And I get the why, and I get why there was setbacks. I mean, he had a torn ACL when they drafted him. And then he had the battle of all battles. But, I mean, Ross Blacklock got cut in year 3. Like, getting cut in year 3 as a second-round pick is not the most far-fetched thing. So, where he was drafted, the story, all that, you got to put that to the side, and they got to figure out, can this guy be a productive member of our football team? Or maybe they think the feel-good is enough to add some sort of element. But I do think that's a decision they're going to have to make at wide receiver, because the other thing is, not only do you have guys in front of Metchie, no matter what, that are playing really well, the guys behind him, at least behind him when we came into the season on the depth chart, they're playing well as well. So decision number one is going to be the feel good versus play good element of John Metchie. He's got to be more consistent. I agree with David. He needs to overcome the mental hurdle. I don't know that he's dealing with a mental hurdle. I think John Metchie is very mentally tough. I think he's more mentally tough than most people in that locker room. I don't think there's any mental hurdle. He's running full speed. He's doing his thing. Like, he doesn't look physically limited. He doesn't look scared. I don't think there's anything mental. But there's a lot of second-round picks that come into the NFL that don't go through what John Metchie went through, that have a hard time hanging on. It's hard as hell. Like, more times than not, over half the picks in drafts are not gonna make it. So there doesn't have to be some sort of deeper meaning. Like, the bottom line is, sometimes a guy is just not someone that fits into what you're doing. So I don't look at it as there's some mental hurdle, and I don't think he believes that as well. Big Metchie fan, but he's gonna have to show out to make the squad. I think so. Don't know so. But I would think so. Are they viewing Metch as a project? I don't know. Like, what kind of project? What are we looking at as a project? I mean, I think they viewed him as a really, really good guy that could potentially contribute. They obviously had the major setback of all setbacks, and now I think they're trying to view him as, can he contribute to this team? At least that's how they should. So we'll see. It's still depressing to think that Blacklock is the guy we drafted with the pick we got for Hopkins. Yeah, and I wanted Jonathan Taylor. That was my guy. Jonathan Taylor was my guy. With Metchie, I wanted James Cook. I always want to draft running backs. If y'all follow me during the draft, and this thing's been alive for 2 drafts now, I always want running backs. In the second round, I'm open to running backs. I want to stack running backs. I want to get the most out of them on their rookie deals. But you passed on Jonathan Taylor. With that pick, you passed on Antoine Winfield, you passed on Trevon Diggs, but we don't need to replay that. Would you rather have Metch, Woods, Hutch, Noah? What 2 would you take? Noah's safe. Like, Noah is important to what they did last year. Noah's not going anywhere. If Woods is gonna do what Woods is doing, then what he does, and he's gonna give you the consistency, I would take Woods. And Hutchinson versus Metchie, Hutchinson's outplayed him right now in games, and he plays special teams. So that's what I would see. Is he practice squad eligible? I think someone else would kick the tires on him. I don't think John Metchie's like going to end up back where you are. Someone else I think would kick the tires on him. Friday Night Lights versus the Steelers. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Don't let anyone minimize preseason football. Preseason football is fun. It's a good way to look at things, look at depth, enjoy, sit back, not serious. You're not losing your mind. You're not having heart attacks. You're not cussing at your family members because you're superstitious and they move spots. You're just kind of relaxing. You're bracing yourself for the football season. You're getting in the routine. And, oh, by the way, we're going to get to another decision that I think we're going to have to watch closely, because I think the Texans are actually kind of stressed out. about this. That's an indictment on Caserio using the second round pick on a player with the torn ACL. Do y'all realize Stingley, Metchie, Christian Harris, and Thomas Booker were all injured when drafted? I disagree. I don't think that's a bad strategy at all. Jeffrey Simmons had a torn ACL when the Titans took him. Was that bad? He's one of the best players in the division. Was that bad? I don't think so. That happens all the time. Like, guys get injured and you draft them. There's multiple examples. I think Sean Lee with the Cowboys, he was injured. They drafted him. I don't agree with that. I think sometimes you can get value, but Jeffrey Simmons had a torn ACL. The Titans took him. Was that dumb? No. I think sometimes it happens. Sometimes you miss in the first round. Sometimes you miss in the second round. Sometimes you miss in the third. But drafting a guy with a torn ACL, I don't think it's crazy. Were the Lions dumb for drafting Jamison Williams? He ended up getting hurt too. Was that dumb? No. I mean, I think that's a reach, to be honest with you. Which you wanted a run be from the draft this season? I forgot. Yeah, I did. I wanted the one the Miami Dolphins ended up taking. I wanted the one that the San Francisco 49ers ended up taking. And I wanted the one that the Green Bay Packers ended up taking. They already got backs. And they're kind of running the same system. So, yeah. Preseason football is great to fire up the grill and swig down some Coors lattes. Isn't that any football? Isn't that anything? Hell, that's a damn infomercial. Fire up the grill and drink some brew. This is a fact. Rick Smith never missed in the first round. Kept him around, honestly. Kept him around. But yeah, I don't think I don't look at like the best GMs are going to miss in the draft. Nick Caserio with John Metchie. I don't really blame it. Hit the like. Frank's always looking out. Be sure to hit the like button for sure. Appreciate you. So that's decision number one. The match. Feel good versus play good. Which one matters the most? I'm going to get to some of y'all's comments on the back end. Next decision, defensive triple threat matches. Now, let me explain this. A lot of times we look at these bottom of the depth chart battles, like roster battles, and we say, okay, Kurt Heinisch is going against Khalil Davis, or Kurt Heinisch is going against Tim Settle, or Henderson is going against Mike Ford or whatever. And we look at that and we think it's like an individual thing. But I actually think, especially as camp dies down, and especially with what we've seen from Nick Caserio, I actually think there's like a triple threat match. I don't just think it's a singles match, because I think the next layer of that is Kurt Heinisch versus Khalil Davis versus waivers and other rosters. I think the back end of this roster, when you look at D-line, perhaps when you look at corner, they're going to be pretty active when it comes to guys getting cut on other teams and other guys getting released. So I think that's kind of something that's kind of, you're keeping your eyes on your own paper, but you're also glancing at the other paper to see what's going to go down. So I think these defensive triple threat matches, specifically on D-line, maybe even at linebacker and at corner, I think those are some of the decisions that the Texans are going to make. And maybe that's as simple as that's as simple as checking stuff out. Blue Boy 9 said Sean Lee was a horrible example, and considering all the players we missed out in that draft, yeah, I'd say that was dumb. But that's not what you said, brother. And Sean Lee's a great example, because Sean Lee was that. Let's go back to what you originally said. You're moving the goalposts now, brother. And I like you, Blue Boy 9, but we got time on the streams. This isn't radio where you just gloss over a text. You said that's an indictment on Caserio, uses a second rounder on a player with a torn ACL. Did you realize Stingley, who's great, Metchie, Christian Harris, really good, Thomas Booker was a day 3 pick. So you actually used 2 examples of drafting guys that were good that they selected injured, and you said that it was a bad thing with John Metchie. So now you're kind of moving the goalposts and you're saying we missed out on guys. Yes, you missed out on James Cook, you missed out on Pickens, you missed out on some other guys, but you're completely changing what you say. And I'm not going to chase my tail and just like go around, but you said it was an indictment on Nick Caserio because he drafted a guy from a torn ACL with a torn ACL. I'm just naming guys, Jeffrey Simmons, Sean Lee. I'm just naming guys off the top of my head that have been injured, and I'm sure there's a lot that have ended up being good players. You actually named 2 examples here. your best linebacker and your best corner. So, yeah, you can change and now say we missed out on people in the draft and say that was dumb. That's fine. I wouldn't push back on that. But you said it was dumb to draft someone with a torn ACL. So, yeah, not really a good thing. I don't think I said the same thing about Nico as Metchie. I would push back on that. I said I didn't know if Nico Collins was a number one receiver. I said he needed to prove himself, and he did. Was I skeptical about Nico being a number one receiver? Correct, I was. Did I think that Nico Collins needed to prove himself? Yes, I did. Did I say that there was perhaps some meat left on the bone with Mills? Yes. He also needed to stay healthy. I think he had missed close to 10 games going into last season. So he had to stay healthy. He had to produce. He had to be better. He had to prove himself, and he did. I wasn't saying the same stuff about Metchie. Nico Collins, even with Davis Mills, had shown a little bit more. Obviously, he didn't go through what he did, but I definitely didn't say the same thing about Nico Collins that I'm saying about Metchie right now. I can assure you. So that did not happen either, for sure. We look like an organization that can develop guys now, especially with these later round players becoming contributors. Yeah, and that's why when you look at these back end position battles, that's why I think that there's going to be other elements where they can bring some guys in to contribute, like they did with Derek Barnett last year. Different situation, different way of acquiring. Even got some stuff out of Khalil Davis. I think they're going to be good at that, especially with where those guys are. So I think it's an interesting thing to check out. Kool-Aid McKinstry was drafted injured this year too, but he got snagged before I picked, which was Lassiter, so he came out good. Dejin was injured too. So yeah, we'll see what happens. So Metchie and the defensive triple threat matches. Those are the first two decisions. Next decision, they're going to have a kickoff cram session. Frank Ross seemed a little bit, I don't want to say surprised and shell-shocked, but he basically said, yeah, we got a taste of it. The rest of the coaches are going to get a taste of it and what it looks like. DeMeco Ryans basically talked about the collisions and all that. They're going to have to figure this out. And this is not, I don't want to say you're just basically skipping rocks when you're looking at the offense or the defense, but you have a decent idea what you want to do, and you're going to have to hold some stuff back. With this kickoff, I think they're really going to have to get a grasp of what they want to do, how guys handle it when it comes to the roster management and stuff, and if it's even worth it. If it's even worth kicking off or it's worth kicking into the back of the end zone. This is a decision that they're going to have to make, and I think they're really going to put a lot into the next 3 games just to see how they're going to approach this. And they do have a head start. Like the rest of the NFL will get a taste of that this week, but it is going to be a cram session. Next decision, be sure to subscribe, like, right along. It is the Locker Room. Shout out to the German Texans fans, German Texans 8-3. Appreciate you for coming back. Toho is still out there. He's trying to do his thing. Seems like we need an elusive running back for kickoffs instead of a wide receiver. Do not know. Do not know what they're going to do. But speaking of running back, the next decision and the final decision I think they're going to have to make is who they like at running back. Question is, has that already been made? Has that decision been made? Are they just willing to go with Dameon Pierce no matter what? And that's where we're at. Dare Gumbawale, they obviously love him for a lot of reasons, and he's had a good camp. Joe Mixon's clearly RB1. Do they already kind of have their mind made up at running back? It seems kind of set for better or worse. Is Cam Akers more of a factor than we think? Do they just look at him as someone that they can keep around and then maybe figure some stuff out? They got to decide what they want to do at RB, but you can maybe make a case that maybe that decision has already been made. Shout out to 979 H-Town fan. Appreciate you for coming through, my friend. Appreciate the love very, very much for sure. Landry, don't feel bad because none of us could have guessed how CJ Stroud elevated Nico's play. I know I did. Yeah, and I was a Bryce Young guy too. So yeah, I don't mind admitting when I'm wrong. I was wrong about that. I don't think Bryce is going to suck, and I think that this is a good decision. But yeah, I don't think any of us expected Nico Collins to do what he did last year, unless it's just blind faith. Shout out to 713 Sports. Ruben, by the way, is in the ESPN Rock the Mic contest. Drop the link down there, Ruben. Y'all go vote for Ruben and show some love on the ESPN Rock the Mic contest. I think he's got a good shot to win it. So just give Ruben the love that he deserves. Any chance Pierce gets cut? No chance. What's a good underrated beer for game day? I mean, are you going for me? Only the super HEBs have it, but Hopadillo, they have like a saucy Hopadillo that's even stronger than the original. I think that's a very underrated beer, and not all HEBs have it, but the super HEBs have it. It's like the extra saucy. You'll see it right there, a little bit lighter of a can. What's the one piece you need to add on this team right now? I don't know. I mean, maybe a safety, maybe Simmons. Don't know. Pedro asks, do you think the Cleveland practices were bonding experience for the guys? What is this? Remember the Titans? No, I would say this. I think everything is a bonding experience for this team. This team's pretty tight. They like each other. They spend time together off the field. I think it's authentic. So the answer might be yes, but I don't think they needed it because I think this team already likes each other a lot for sure. Next thing. Hold on just a sec. My dog's crazy. You got a take? You got a hot take? No? Okay. Get out of here. Lord. All French bulldogs have the same damn personality. Ridiculous. They want in, then they don't, then they do, then they don't. Insane. Metchie for Carolina pick really doesn't sound like a bad move. What pick? What are they trading for him? I know him and Bryce are tight, but what are they trading for him? Still don't like the home jerseys? No, I don't like them. I think they're the same thing. I think they're the same thing, just a little darker color. I wanted an extreme change. I thought we were getting away from the tradition type thing. So, no, I don't like them. But I do think these guys can make any uniforms look good. I read that Pittsburgh will be sitting most of their defensive starters and starting Justin Fields. Russ won't suit up. Yeah, we got to that earlier. Would love the offensive starters to get a TD on the first series, then sit them, then let Mills continue to do work. Now the dog's barking to get back in. I'm telling you, Frenchies are crazy. Can't make up their damn mind, for sure. So she said that John Metchie will be wide receiver one. Yeah. She probably would have that opinion and then just kind of change it. Who knows? Appreciate everyone for coming through. I'm about to record a special episode that's going to drop tomorrow. Gonna catch up with someone that I haven't spoken to in a while. I'm gonna get him to take us behind the scenes. We're not going to do this Andre Johnson like love fest type of joint. He was there. He was on the scene. I want to know who the drunkest was. I want to know who was the most emotional, and I want to know what was going on. I saw Scarface was up there with the band. I want the deets. I don't need to talk about how great Andre was. We've done that enough. We need to get the real detailed stuff that you don't get anywhere else, and I'm gonna get it out of him. Believe that, as well as his thoughts on what's going on with the O-line. Now, Mark Berman, I'm gonna get him on Friday. You guessed it, yeah. I'm gonna get Berman on Friday, assuming that his technology is good to go. We'll talk to Berman. We'll talk to McLean tomorrow. This is a former player that's going to join me. That's very, very close with Andre Johnson and pretty close with me too. Good buddy of mine. Appreciate everyone for coming through. Those are the biggest questions. Did I miss anything when it came to the biggest decisions? Texans, light work today. No practice manana. Game on Friday. Post-game show right here. no matter what happens, remember when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Appreciate the love. Appreciate y'all coming through. Appreciate the back and forth. Blue Boy, appreciate you for coming through as well. We cuss, discuss, we go back and forth. It's all fun. It's all love, baby.
Every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days. Opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up. We number 1. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas.